Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, come right up. Hi.
Good evening.
Evening.
What, my first one here?
Yes.
Gee,
Unusual.
I figured I'd get coming in late.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yep.
No. I'm looking up a few last minute things for my part of the presentation tonight. Can't seem to. No, not here. So, how's life?
Yeah, not too bad. And I'm playing with my new scope.
That's good. The haze from the Western fires giving you any trouble?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I think it's giving me nasal trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the pictures didn't come in real well. They were kind of, well, it was the moon. Didn't help.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple pictures that I've got. And again, they didn't turn out real well, but
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of practice to do with this scope, so. Not real good with an equatorial mount yet. I'll get there.
Well, when are other people going to show up? It's almost 10 of.
Yep.
Oh, there's Jeff. Or there's the Orion Nebula.
Oh, boy. Jeff. Oh, he's muted.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sleepy.
Long day.
Yeah, every day's a long
Sure?
day.
I thought it was grumpy.
Yeah, that's the way of life. Let's see.
So am I Doc?
You're Doc. Let me see. I'm going to see if I'm sharing here. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Am I sharing still?
Yes.
Is my full screening my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And again, as you and I discussed a little bit, unless we've got a few guests involved, public, I think we ought to skip over mine because I'm sure the club saw mine before.
Okay.
And if there's only a couple public, I think we can cover most of the basics and what you're going to be doing anyway, because you're real thorough when you give yours. So,
All right.
does that make sense or no?
It makes sense. Yeah.
Hey, Rusty,
Yes.
there's a guy on cloudy nights that wants to buy the 102.
Really?
Yeah, would you be offended if I went ahead and sold it?
Well, that's up to you. It belongs to you now.
Well, I didn't know whether you'd want it back or anything because it's super nice. It's just that, I've got the 80, 127. So it kind of falls in between. And at my age, I just don't need the other one.
Yeah. No, that's up to you. You own it.
Like I said, wanted to check with you first to make sure that there was no problem.
Oh no, no, that's your call.
You're doing wonderful with that new scope.
I got some more pictures.
Oh, cool.
Of course, with the the western fire haze and moon, it come out real good. But
You can post some of those up on the QCS website too, or Facebook page, because you're a member.
yeah. Oh, I just got to figure out how to do that. So
Yeah, I think you've seen the Facebook page, haven't you?
not the Facebook page, no.
Yeah, it's just QCAS.
I haven't been on Facebook in about a year and a half.
Oh, well, you've been smart then, right?
Yeah.
No wonder you're always in a good mood.
Yeah, after an old friend of mine started calling me bad things because he didn't like my choice of political candidates. He
Yeah.
really started calling me some bad things, and he was like, you know what? I really don't need this. This is worth it.
Yeah,
So I just got rid of it, and I haven't been on it since.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't miss it.
No.
Well,
What time is it anyway? Oh, we got a little bit of time left.
yep. Oh. Oh, Paul Levesque.
Greetings,
Hi.
Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, hi. Oh, where am I?
We're we're all invisible tonight.
Ah, I could turn my camera on. Hold on. I said join without video, but well, let's see. I don't know how to change that.
Turn your camera on. Oh, there we go.
There's nothing here. Yeah, nothing here to see, but whatever. I don't see anybody else.
Actually, you're pretty lucky.
Oh, there we are. Well, that's pretty. Who took that picture?
I don't know. It came with Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why when I use a virtual background that I fade in and out of the screen. I mean, I've got like super fast Wi-Fi. I've got 1 gig up and down. So I wouldn't think that it would do that. So I don't understand it.
It's probably more to do with the whatever the software is, the software that's supposed to be able to recognize you, to separate you from whatever's behind you.
Yeah, I think I've seen some pretty good ones before where it didn't cause a problem. Well, yeah, yours does it a little bit.
Yeah, mine's not perfect either.
Yeah, I can try and show you those pictures if you guys want to see them quick. I can try.
You should be able to share your screen.
Okay. So I hit share screen first.
Yes.
Oh, now I gotta find the pictures. Put them somewhere. There they are.
Pete, we got a fan. Oh. Paul, there for a minute, you were our biggest fan.
Yeah. Like I said, I got all this haze, but that was my first attempt at the Western Veil.
Oop, you're not sharing yet.
I'm not?
Nope.
Not yet.
Okay.
Hit share. And then there's one that says screen. And click on that one. And then you bring up your picture.
Okay, share screen.
Hi, Craig.
Greg? Okay.
Yeah, you got it
All
now.
right. Yes.
That it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
See that one?
Western Vale.
Yeah.
It isn't up yet, but
Looks like it's
See it
still
here?
loading.
Oh, it is?
Oh, well, it did for a minute.
yeah, we see your folder open. We don't see the actual picture.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So minimize your folder and see if it comes up. And then it depends on what you clicked on. If when you went to share, if you clicked on the folder, that's all it will show. If
Oh,
you
I
click
see.
on the one that says screen, then it'll show whatever you've got on your screen.
Okay.
Can you see yourself? No, but I can see
Wow.
Jeff. Just bigger.
Hi, Kate.
Oh my goodness, hello.
Oh my goodness, hello.
Well, we had for some reason, my tablet decided to dump Facebook. So
Well,
we were in the school.
that's very, there it is, Rusty. That's very smart of your tablet, Craig.
There you go. Yeah, that happens. That's what I shot last night for about 4 hours.
Yeah, this was like about 3 minutes.
Nice pick, Rusty.
Hmm.
All right, let's see what else I can do here.
Oh, you stopped sharing.
All right, well, gotta find them again. I'll make it, there we go. Oh, what else had I got in there? Here's more.
Oops, not there yet. There you go.
Here we go. Oh, the dumbbell?
Yeah.
That came out pretty nice.
Yes.
What
Yeah,
camera?
just weird colors.
What camera are you using for that?
Nikon
Okay.
D5200.
Is that a single shot?
That was probably about 30 seconds, or 3 minutes.
But it is a single shot. It's not processed.
Right.
Very good. Nice and crisp.
Okay. No, I'm gonna figure out how to get back out of this.
Hold your thumb on the Alt key and tap on Tab, and it'll show you what you can go to.
Oh, okay.
Give that a shot once.
Yeah, well, I just want to get out.
Yeah, well, that'll let you select a different picture,
Okay.
unless you don't want to show a different picture.
I don't have any others really to show.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Mike.
Oh, Jeff and everyone else.
Hello?
How's it going, Mike?
Doing good.
Right now. That's some water.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there I got it.
All right. Well, let's give it a few more minutes at least, see who else shows up.
Yeah, we can do that.
Hmm.
How was your trip and vacation?
Me?
Yes.
It's pretty good. Start of it could have been better. So I got construction work on the Illinois-Indiana border. I spent almost an hour in gridlock.
Well,
After that, though, the rest of the trip went smoothly.
that's good.
Anybody else go anywhere this summer?
Middle of August, I'll be going out to see my daughter in Portland.
Oregon or Maine? Or Oregon or Maine?
Oh, I'm sorry, I answered Oregon.
Or, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I'm going to try to go to the Nebraska Star Party.
Mhm.
It's an experience.
It's an experience play.
You have to experience it at least once.
So,
Yeah. Hey, I enjoyed it, at least the first 2 days. The rest of it, the weather was crappy.
yeah, you just have to hope that you hit it when the weather's good.
Yeah.
I'll admit the night skies are dark.
Yeah, the afternoon skies were pretty dark too there for a while.
That one day in 2017, yes.
Yeah, the week I was there, first 2 days, Sunday and Monday, was pretty- Sunday night, and Monday night. And then for the rest of the week, we had about 25-mile-an-hour winds or higher,
Wow.
and storms.
Vermont was an experience too. The first few days there, northern Vermont, 90-degree temperatures. And then after that, it just went right down to 60s and rain. and nothing in between. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and go.
All right, we'll get started then. Okay, so, all right. And we are recording this meeting. So first, past events. St. Ambrose University had a public night at Menke Observatory on July 10th. I'm sorry I wasn't in town for that. How did it go?
I had a note from work. Which one were you talking about?
The July 10th Star Party at Menke.
Wasn't that the one that was rained out? And I think Sam and I think it was Rolando, we just stayed online till like 9 o'clock and chatted waiting for people. So there wasn't anybody that participated at all.
Okay, so weather didn't help then. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad.
Yeah.
And then PAC had their monthly meeting on the 12th. Rusty, looks like you're our de facto PAC representative tonight.
Yeah, we had the girl from the, oh boy, now I can't even think of the name of it. The biggest radio telescope, the one in is it Virginia? Something like that. No,
Green
South
Bank.
Carolina.
No, Green Bank in West Virginia. That's
Green
what it's
Bank,
called.
that's it, West Virginia.
Ah,
Yeah, she did a big talk about, the telescope and everything that's going on there, and it was pretty interesting. She's going to do another one, just actually talk about the site as opposed to just the telescope and what it can do.
mm-hmm.
Going to come back and do another one.
That's good. And then PAC had a public night at Niabi Zoo on the 17th.
Yep,
Just 2
last
nights
Saturday.
ago.
That
Yep.
turned out pretty good. We had quite a few people there. I think we had 7 or 8 telescopes set up.
Mhm. Very good.
How many public showed up, do you know?
I'm not really sure what the count was. But
I was wondering how the public was reacting with COVID and public events.
yeah, I don't know. We had quite a few people there, so
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so did everyone get the agenda that I sent out by email
Yes,
a couple of days ago? Okay. So upcoming events. QCAS is having their monthly public night on the 31st. Too early to tell, of course, if the weather's going to cooperate. But if it does cooperate, are we still going to do a virtual component to it?
I think it's best to do them both.
Very good.
I think we can not worry about setting up a remote camera like we were doing. I had one setting at the side of the dome facing whoever's there presenting. And that way people won't trip over it. But if we can have a camera on the scope, we'll piggyback the scope. We're going to have to get another weight for for the 14-inch if we mount like an 80 millimeter on top of the 14-inch.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably have to think about getting another weight to put on there of some sort. Then we can put a camera like on the 80 millimeter so people can use the eyepiece on the 14 and we can broadcast what they're looking at by pointing the 80 at it. So then we can alt tab between like Stellarium and whoever's giving the presentation like we're doing now, or what we're showing in the camera. So,
Send me an email reminder to look into getting another weight. Then.
yeah, and it's ugly on that. I don't know whether you guys have got access to people that do machine work, but they want hundreds of dollars for a weight. And that, to me, that's so silly because, you know, there's no electronics. It's just, you know, I don't know whether we can get like a barbell kind of a weight, you know, like from the weightlifting room if they've got something. Maybe we can measure the shaft and do that. Jim, do you have any ideas on that? Or Craig? Or Mike?
This is Jim. I've certainly done that kind of thing, is used a barbell weight, but yeah, you hit on the key is what about the diameter? Can you get the correct diameter?
Hmm.
So we'll just, I guess, see what we can do. I know that mount is beefy enough that we won't hurt the mount, but I worry about like doing something and having it slip because it's, you know, too heavy on top, and if we're slewed, you know, horizontally somehow, maybe it just won't hold, and that doesn't make for a very pleasurable experience either. So
Yep. So if something goes wrong, then it wasn't that expensive to buy the manufacturer's mount.
yeah. Yeah.
There isn't any weight you can borrow from the 14-inch or the 16-inch or anything like that.
No, because I don't know if those had in the 16 might have counterbalance weights, but I think that's a narrower shaft. But that's a good thought. The 14 didn't have anything because that was on a fork.
I think the 16 had 1.25 diameter shaft.
The only thing is, yeah, and that maybe that'll be what it is. But again, if we sell that scope, I'm assuming that those weights will go with it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we can't borrow it in the meantime.
Right.
So, but yeah, when we, I don't want to push us into talking about the meteor shower party, but if I decide to go out to Mankey to pick up the screen, maybe I'll run over to Sherman Park and grab one of those weights. Will that do anything bad to that scope over there? If I take a weight off, will it like drop?
Yes.
Okay, then I won't do that. Never mind.
I think because I think there's only one weight.
Oh, is there? Okay. Yeah, I don't think dropping I think we've got two weights on the 14-inch, and I think even if we put it all the way down, all the way at the end, both weights, I don't think is enough counterbalance. I think Sam and I tried that with his scope.
To get it, which 14 are you talking about?
The SCT in Mankey in the dome.
In the dome?
Yeah, we want to
You're
put an
adding-
we want to put an 80 millimeter on top of that.
Okay, right.
So then you visually view through the 14-inch SCT, and we put a camera on the 80 millimeter. So when we do public events, we can broadcast virtually what the 80-inch or 80 millimeter is saying, and people can still look through the eyepiece.
Okay. You could use a barbell, but you would have to sandwich that barbell between two existing weights.
Yeah, and I
That
think
would be
we can.
the only way to secure it.
Yeah, I think we can do that. But again, it'd be very cool if we could figure out a way to make it a little bit. I don't like if it wobbles, even if you sandwich it. So I guess we'll just do what we can do with it.
Yeah.
You know.
I can see if I can help you with that too, figuring out what's the best option.
And then I don't know whether Mankey's got the St. Elmo's has got the funding, but that might be a good idea to get another weight anyway, even if it's a lighter weight one, because I don't know how much more we need on there. But that'd be very good if we could figure it out with a barbell weight to figure out how much more we need.
Well, I can look at our budget and
Yeah,
the physics line.
but they're silly expensive, the weights.
You'd think that would be, it'd cost more to ship it than it would for the weight itself.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's nice to have a pretty stainless steel one, but I wonder if, you know, if we price out just somebody taking a piece of iron and boring it out properly.
We need to know the size of the ID that's required.
Yeah.
I just looked online and they show a 22-pound weight for the EQ8 is $130.
And that's probably what would do what we wanted it to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what we've got on there now. We've got two weights, but I don't know how much they weigh.
Aren't there 3 weights on it?
Maybe there is three weights because I think I set it up so that it's balanced, and with the camera, we move it the center one down to the bottom, and otherwise we put it back up without a camera. And I think Sam and I moved all 3 of them down. I don't remember. It's been too long.
All right, well, toss
We
some
can-
ideas back and forth about that. And
For this coming event, I think we're probably going to be okay if we slide them all down and we're just careful with what we're viewing. So,
okay. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll work perfectly.
yeah.
All right. And then 1 week after that is our meteor shower party at Pleasant Valley Junior High. And understand from most of the recent emails that it is a go to happen.
Yep. So I talked to Jim about that a little bit, and I wish we had more club members here because I don't know whether I want to get as carried away, and I think part of it's I'm getting kind of burnt out. But last time we did this, I had two or three projectors, I don't remember, and I had 2 or 3 things going on. I had a slide presentation just running continuously, and I know that I had a camera pointed at the sky and that showing up on a screen. And then we were selling tickets, and that was where the problems came in, is because I had such a long line for tickets that a lot of people just kind of got tired of waiting. So I'd like to at least get one more person or even 2 to help sell tickets. If I could get 2 people there to do tickets, I would probably feel more comfortable about setting up and keeping the slideshow running, and maybe alt tabbing between a slideshow and a live view of the sky. So the thing with the tickets is you sell them, and we have to make sure we get their name, address, and phone number, because they don't have to be present to win. So if we pull their ticket and call out the number, if they aren't there, then we have to contact them. So that was the hard part, because a lot of people, especially when you're talking about dark, it was really hard to write their name, address, and phone number on that itty bitty ticket. So I think I was having them write it down in a book, like our sign-in book.
Mm-hmm.
And so whoever ends up selling tickets, however they feel is the best way to do it, I think we should let it up to their discretion how they want to handle it. I think Jim mentioned writing it down in the book and just putting their ticket number there. So if we call their ticket number, all we have to do is look in the book for their ticket number. But it was hard selling the tickets when it started to get darker, because I had a line. I remember I had like 35 or 40 people in line at one point. And then they just kind of dwindled down because we had one pen and, just one person selling, and,
Yeah, that's bad if you have people that want to give you money and you don't have enough hands to take it.
I could help out with that if you need it.
And then it'd be nice,
Jeff,
again, to have some touch hour.
Jeff, we're losing your signal.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
You're fine now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It'd be, as we had in the past, it'd be nice if some people brought telescopes, because although you really don't need them for the meteor shower, in town like that, it's hard to see stuff anyway. So I know that we've got Saturn and Jupiter they'll be able to see. They typically see those, and maybe we could get another object or 2 for folks to be able to see. So if we could get a few scopes there as well, that would be great.
Well, well, kind of telescope I have, I mean, I could either bring that or I could help sell tickets. Probably not both, since my scope doesn't have a motor to it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking kind of the same way for me. I could mess around with the slide presentation in the camera and just make sure, and I could have a scope there set kind of close to me. So I could do that. But like you said, if you're there to help with the tickets, for the most part, you'll be busy for a little bit and then it won't be, and then it will be, and then it won't be. The problem is just making sure that you can do it when the people want to come up and get tickets.
Right.
And I'll probably have to bring some kind of a little sound system or something so that we can continuously, advertise to buy tickets and then read off the number. So I'll need to figure that out again.
Would my lavalier microphone help?
It may or may not. It depends on if we've got multiple people that need to talk. Passing around, that's a little bit harder than just having a mic on a stand. The hard part is I need to dig out and see how available I've got my PA system. Everything is kind of shoved around anymore, so.
Okay.
What are you selling tickets for, by the way? Is there a raffle?
Yeah, was it the 1 year or 2 years we raffled off a telescope? We've got a 4.5-inch reflector, a brand new one that we raffle off. And we did the same thing last meteor shower party.
And we're doing it again this time.
Yeah, we got the scope already. And it's
Okay.
$2 a ticket or 3 tickets for $5.
Oh, it's a good deal.
Yeah, it is.
Does Sam have the scope right
Yeah,
now?
Sam has got the scope.
Okay. All right.
So our next board meeting, we can organize it a little bit better and find out who's doing what. But if anybody is so inclined to bring a telescope, it'd be good just to blast out an email and say you'd be happy to bring a scope. If you feel like helping with ticket sales, just blast out an email and say you'd be happy to help with that. Anything that we can do. I need to make sure that Ian can put some tables to kind of block things like we had before. I think he had some tables that we put across the drive so that people didn't try to drive back in there. And I don't remember I never did make it to the other side of the parking lot to see how that was blocked off. Maybe we used cars. I don't remember.
I don't know either. Okay. But yes, our next board meeting is August 2nd, so let's try to figure out as much as we can before then. And
Yeah.
all right. And then let's see, St. Ambrose's next public night in Menke is August 14th. And yes, I will be here for that one. And then PAC has their next public night August 21st.
Can we back up a minute? I won't be at the August 14th one. I'll be in Portland. The 12th through the 18th, I'm gone.
Nice. Okay.
So if someone will want to make sure that we get you some help out there.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's a good idea if you could. It's a good idea if you could school some of us on how to use the video equipment.
Okay. As far as the cameras.
The cameras, at least. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. And maybe whoever's helping out with the next QCAS one out there, I think I'm going to try to put the Rev 2 on there.
Mhm.
And if we do that, if we get into a jam, Rusty, who's napping on us right now, he's an expert with the Rev 2. I think Byron is kind of an expert on the
Rev 2.
And Terry. Yeah. So if I use that one, I think there's more people that have used it. I don't know, Craig, if you've used it, and Jim, I think you had one at one point.
Never had the Rev 2.
Okay. But again, depending on how things work, maybe even if it's bad weather for the QCAS one, if we can go out there anyway and set it up, and then we can kind of write out instructions on how to do that.
Yes, yes.
The whole
Yep.
problem with it being is I'm not yet overly comfortable with like leaving my 80 millimeter set up on there for extended periods of time.
Because it'd be,
Yeah,
yes.
so Robert, you and I and the board, we can talk about that a little bit. You know, because I guess I might be able to be persuaded to leave the stuff out there, but we're looking at a couple grand worth of stuff too. That's, you know, you can unbolt it like in 10 seconds and be gone. It's not like the 14 that you can never really get off there safely or easily, even with a couple people. This basically is 2 thumb screws and the 80 millimeter and the camera's gone.
Hmm.
So the hard part is not then going to do the cameras. The hard part's going to be getting a scope, putting it up there, getting it balanced. So although Sam knows all about doing that with his cameras and his scope, because we've used his before. And we haven't used mine before, but I've done it before on its own, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Rusty's done it before.
So, I was just thinking, what about locking them in the storage room for a little extra security?
Could do that.
Actually, I was wondering if there's room in that storage, that cabinet in the storage room to lock it up in.
More than likely. Again, somebody would have to, you know how to set it up in there too. So
that's something we'd have to learn.
Yeah. And again, none of it's rocket science. It's just, you know, doing the right steps in the right order. And when, you know, if you don't do it frequently enough, it's not real second nature.
So come July 31st, school will be in session. Right. Okay, so yeah, we'll figure something out for the 14th.
Yeah. And if we can't do it virtual, you can still kind of do virtual by doing like we're doing now and talking through stuff. You wouldn't be able to show what you're looking at, but you could call it up on Stellarium and say, this is what we're looking at now, and then talk about it. So
not quite the same, but
not the same, but better
in a
than nothing.
pinch, yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else about the August 14th event? All right, and then PAC is having their next public night August 21st at Niabi again. And then I bring up that the QCAS is having another public night on August 28th because that's just 1 week before Eastern Iowa Star Party. So any new items about EISP?
I think I've got about 24 people registered for that. And I think that's a nice sized crowd, but I think we might, you know, get a few more yet out there.
That's at least as many as we had last year, right?
Yeah, I think it's a few more than we had last year. Again, we're not going to do food or raffles or guest speakers for that. But I did tell people, and I'll be sending out again, that we're going to do like a swap meet. They can bring a table or a blanket and throw whatever they want to sell out in front of their area. We will have, I already bought 6 cases of water and 8 cases of pop, the 12 packs of pop. And I'm waiting yet to buy the munchies. I'll wait, you know, a few days before to get munchies out there, but it'll just be snack kind of stuff, you know, cookies and that kind of stuff. Some people do need electricity out there and others do not. And, you know, there's only 24 and I don't know whether we want to line the field or not. If we line it, it does make it easier to tell people, you know, what spot to go to. So if you don't need electricity, we can tell them to go to spot 3 or whatever that doesn't have. We can pre-run the electricity where we need it to go if we need extra. but again, that's a lot of work. So I don't know whether we just kind of wing it or what we want to do.
Well, at the very least, we should talk about that at the next board meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike's lined it the last number of times. And, you know, it does take some time to do. It might be second nature to him now where it's not as hard. But I think for any one of us to figure it out, it would take, you know, half a day or better to get it done and figure out. For him, it might take a few hours. I don't know.
Yeah, my input would be at the board meeting, we'll have a better idea of how many people have registered. If the registration at that time is around 25, I don't know that it's worth marking. If it was closer to 50, maybe it'd be worth putting the lines out.
Should I tell the people that need electricity to bring a 50-foot drop cord or something?
I think that's reasonable. A lot of star parties do that.
And then we can bring some drop cords too, because that box, depending on what we're doing, if we have like a dozen people that need electricity, we might be able to barely squeak by without running that box. If we could probably get 3 off of the breaker by the deck, but I don't know we can get really more than 2 on each one of the others because they share a breaker. And we can run some out of the roll-off building. We can run probably a couple scopes. So I haven't gotten, I need to send out another email and find out who needs to do what and what kind of astronomy they're going to do so I can kind of segment them a little bit maybe.
Yes.
Just a quick note too. Last year, when I brought my camper out, which I'm going to plan on doing this year again. But one of the girls that works out there, she was pretty upset. She says she didn't know anything about the star party going on, and was unhappy about me having my camper there. So we might want to make sure that the park knows what's going on.
Yeah, well, they did know. They just failed to put it out to their people. Every year they get a calendar of our events.
Yeah.
So, and it isn't like the first time we've done it. This is, we've been doing this forever out there.
Right.
So.
And are they okay this year with us camping in the parking lot?
I haven't talked to them other than we sent them the calendar and that was about it.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great if we can camp there.
All right. Anything else? Well, I need to add something here. I mean, it's not necessarily club business, but I was contacted by a group called Project Renewal. They're going to be camping out at Sherman Park on August 1st, and they asked me to open up the observatory for them around 9 o'clock that night. And they just contacted me about it, so we don't necessarily have to involve the club in this. I just bring this up in case, and I know it's like one day, right, the next day after one of the club's outings.
So
letting you know I'm gonna be,
what exactly do they mean by open up the observatory?
they want a private star party.
Because the 20-inch isn't in there anymore, so.
I just, wait, the 20-inch isn't in there anymore?
You said Sherman Park. Did you mean Sherman Park?
No, Menke.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Menke.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're camping out at Sherman Park, but then they're coming over to Menke for the party.
Yeah, and blast something out on that so we can help. Because it'd be nice, if we could get more scopes out there. I am not very good at running the 20-inch, but if we got somebody out there that could run the 20, and if you wanted to run the 14, or I could, and you can run people around and talk back and forth. And if we had a few other people with scopes out there that, could do EAA or whatever, they could see some various things.
Yeah, I appreciate the help. Yeah, it's going to be high school students. I don't know how many exact. I sent out an email asking how many to expect, and then I'll let people know.
Did they say, is it various high schools or is it one particular high school?
She didn't say.
Okay. Because that'd be neat to know what school system or school systems are involved.
As soon as I get a reply from her, I'll let you know.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, when we ask for money from some of these foundations, we tell them who we provide educational activities to. So if we can pick up some different schools, I think that's just good to put in our list of people that we touch.
Yep. So I'll send out the info once I have it. All right. Moving on. New gear. Anybody bought any lately?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Oh, I got an Orion Newtonian 8-inch astrograph, with 800 millimeter. It's an f3.9. I got that on that AVX mount. That's what I've got some of these pictures with so far. So it's going to take a lot of practice. But
You're doing great.
Judging by the pictures you got so far, seems to be working pretty well.
yeah, pictures too that I did the first night I took it out. They turned out a lot better, but it was a better night.
Hmm.
Of course, we were out there till I got home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
I didn't know you had an AVX mount. You have one? You've had one for a while?
Yeah, AVX, yeah. Yeah, I got that from Jeff.
So the swap meet's already started.
Yeah. It's a never ending battle, buy and sell.
Hmm.
Just to backtrack to the last subject, what night was that high schoolers were wanting to come out to Minky, or
August 1st.
August 1st?
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be great if, so the 20-inch is up and running pretty good, huh, Jim?
It's probably having us using it, because using it photographically, but did some work on it this past weekend. Getting the electrical hooked up again more permanently and trying to stabilize it a little more. And John checked the polar alignment, and that didn't change. He said the polar alignment was still very good. So
Awesome.
I tried not to mess it up.
yep, you didn't. But
It's good to hear.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could weld plates or cross braces on it, but then you got to worry about not being able to access those 4 mounting bolts.
Well, and I thought about that. I think what would stabilize that a lot better would be, but again, we'd have to take the mount and the scope off. And I
Yeah.
just take that whole base, completely solidly build up the whole sides and cut holes in them big enough we could get in and to work the bolts and the nuts. That's probably going to be the best way of making that a little bit more solid.
Yeah.
You don't think
To do that, I'd have to take it off.
you don't think welding a cross brace on each one of those tubes on the outside, like getting 3/8-inch bolts or 1/4-inch bolts and make an X on the outside of each tube, weld it to the edges? Because then you'd be able to go into each quarter with the wrench.
Well, the problem with that is it's so low to the ground that not really going to be able to weld the bottom side.
Oh,
Can't get under there.
You can't do it from the inside top. So you
Pretty
cut the
hard.
bolt so it fits perfectly diagonal. You slide it inside and you. welded on the inside? I don't know. I don't weld, as you
Yeah.
can tell. I can duct tape it in.
Duct tape, crazy glue.
Yeah, duct tape and barbed wire fixes everything.
Yeah.
But it,
Come to think of it, you do look like red green now.
well, at least it's stiffer than what it was, so it's progress made.
Yeah. I'll next time I'm out, I'll take some pictures of it and talk to a buddy of mine that's what he does. He's a works at a weld shop, and I'll see if he's got ideas of how we can kind of stiffen that up a little more without, dismantling the whole thing.
Unless it's good enough. I mean, Jim, have you used it since they did that, right? Since Rusty reinforced it?
Well, I was out there with John and I just asked John to be better. And he said, yeah, I think it's better. It's an improvement. It's still not as stable as it was Sherman, but he thought it was an improvement.
Does it like vibrate forever, or is it just, yeah, it moves, but then in a relatively short time, a few seconds stabilize, or didn't you pay that much attention?
I think the latter, it stabilizes now. But the thing is John was taking pictures, so he touches the telescope, he gets it running, and then he walks away for a half an hour. So it's not quite as annoying as if you were using it visually and maybe touching it a little more frequently.
Okay.
It's something for us to work on, but I don't think we have to be, too aggressive on a time frame. We can think about it and decide what's a plan and get other people to use it and give some inputs. How big a problem I think it is.
Okay. Yep. All right. Any other new gear? Going once, going twice. Gear for sale. Couple of big items here. Of course, the QCAS wants to sell its 16-inch Newtonian. And we at Menke are going to sell the old 14-inch from the roll-off building. And I'll open it up to the club for first offers for them. Too bad we don't have more of the club here tonight, but is anyone here interested?
Yeah, I don't know how to speak to that exactly. There is an offer from a club member on both the scopes. And I think and I don't know, I'm probably speaking out of turn. This might be something more for the board to discuss. But I think that offer, me personally, I think that to get club members going, because we don't have participation with everybody here, and we have a different group that participates via email, that maybe we take that offer and we throw it out to the club and say, we've got an offer. If the board thinks that it's a decent enough offer to take, then we take the offer and say, to email out and say, hey, we've got an offer for X amount of dollars. If anybody wants to make a higher offer, let us know within a week, 2 weeks, whatever the time period is. And if we don't get an offer, then that individual that's interested would win the bid. If the board doesn't think it's enough money, that's a whole different story. But I don't know that that's going to be the case. So I don't know if there's any other open discussion on that, but I'm not sure.
Should the board discuss it by email before the next board meeting, just to get things moving on this right away?
Yeah, I don't know why not. I don't know why we can't blast an email to board saying that we've got an offer for X dollars on the 2 scopes.
I
What do
think
you
I've seen
think?
an email to that effect already.
Yeah, and I don't remember anything coming back from anybody, so
Who's joining?
Rolando.
Oh, hello? Rolando? Ah, there you are.
How's everybody doing?
Good to see you.
You. You sure not at Costco.
Not sure how to take that.
So anyway, we can do that. And Robert, do you want me to blast something out about that then to the club? What
Could
does
you
everybody
please?
here feel? Does anybody object to that happening?
Any objections?
I won't mention any names. Is everybody good with that? Again, you know, I'm kind of with Robert. I like to get things moving, but sometimes I get too aggressive with stuff and I don't want to be that way. So you don't hurt my feelings if you say, no, that's not a good idea. Okay.
Did you list that on cloudy nights or just?
Not yet. Our first thought with that, Mike, was it's club gear, and we thought that we would offer it to club members first. And
Yeah.
then what if we did get offers, if it wasn't as much as what we want, then we could put it on cloudy nights. Or if we didn't get an offer, we could put it on cloudy nights.
Yeah.
So we're just at the stage of, you know, do we have somebody locally that wants it?
Yeah.
And there's a benefit to that. Even if we get a little bit more on cloudy nights, if it's somebody local, we don't have to try to figure out how to, you know, transport the crazy thing
Yeah.
and pack it up or whatever. So,
If it came down to cloudy nights, I've sometimes driven as far as maybe 100 miles one way, and then they can come the rest of the way. That kind of helps because it isn't worth shipping something that big, and it's too hard to package it and everything else.
yeah, Jim and I transported the Starliner that was in the Menke Dome before the 14-inch. We took it to Champaign-Urbana.
Yeah.
And then all that other stuff I took to, I think, Bloomington. I packed up in my van and drove it. And you're right, it's okay to drive some stuff, but then you've got somebody that's never seen it before, and then you drive out there with it, and you're kind of at the mercy whether they want to play games with you. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. And especially unusual stuff or, you know, older stuff.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then Craig's got a lot of stuff for sale that I've got here at my place, so it's convenient. He's got a Ponset mount, and we do have a club member looking at that now. And Craig, you're a lot more adept at what all you've got in there. I think I even forget some stuff, but you got a focuser and a filter wheel and a guide system and a couple
Yes.
Mellon cams.
Yeah, it's a Celestron standalone guide system. I used it 3 times. It worked fine. My problem was such a small screen with my bad eyesight. That was the only issue. Come with the OTA. It's just everything what it takes to put it on. It's 1 1/4 attachment. The Ponset pad was great. It's a beefed up system. They told me it would work with the 16. It was fine with the 16 until it got to a certain tip angle, and then it would be unstable. That's why I stopped using it. So anything below 16 would work fine with it. I bought that 127 that you used to have, but before that, I was bidding online for one similar without a case. And then I noticed that there was a case for sale for that particular scope. So I bidded on that, won that, and then lost the scope on a bid. So I have that extra one. It's for a 127 AD with the dew shield that turns around and slips into the position over the first optics. And
I
for
did want to.
some of the APO's 127s the dust cover does not move. I mean, dust cover, it's a dew shield, doesn't move.
Now, this one's primarily for the carbon fiber one, right? Not for the
Yes.
white one? Okay, good.
Well, it's for the white one,
Oh,
so
okay.
long as the
Dew shield comes off.
shield removes it, and that's all that matters on that one. As
Okay,
far as
good.
the photo look, my intention was to use it, but I never did. It's a 5-position, 2-inch. Oh, what is the other stuff I have there?
You got a finder scope in there, right?
Oh, yes, it's just a standard Meade finder scope, 50 millimeter. I have no need for it. Polar side, I'm really serious about the two Mellon cams that I have. I have a full set case and all. They fully run. It's just I've got so many equipments. I got to get rid of something, so I'm parting with that. The Junior Pro and the Terminator. They both work. Everything it takes to get it to work is in the case, plus filters. Yeah. The Junior Pro has the small 7-inch screen. That's about it.
Craig, if we go back to the guide camera, is there a certain name of it? Is it like a star shooter or?
Yeah, it's not Orion, it's Celestron.
Oh, Celestron. Okay, thank you.
It looks like any other guide camera, but on the back of the guide camera is a small screen. And you've got wires coming out of it. One's for the power supply, use batteries or an adapter. And then you got another one that has the push buttons for your adjustments. And once you get it locked in and it holds it, it uses ST4 cables from there to the mount. And it will control your position.
Okay, and then the Ponset platform, you take the bottom base of the knob off and then, run the bolt through it.
Well, I had it 2 ways because what I was trying to do is cut down the weight, but you can put any knob sitting right on top. All you have to do is center, it'll stay there.
Oh, because there's 3 pads.
Yes.
And it looks like you're rotating around. You don't have to use it in that configuration?
Do not.
Oh,
You
okay.
do not. But like I said, the reason why I did that is to remove any weight possible because the 16 that I have is kind of heavy.
Sure, to get
And
it
it was-
positioned, yeah.
It ran within a certain amount of flexibility, but when it get to the furthest lead, either way, it would be unstable on the scope alone. In other words, I don't think it's made for 16. It's made for 14 or less diameter. You just put the tripod with the base or your Dobson with the base right on top of the top pad, center it as best you can, and it'll stay there. But what I did to that, it came with 3 rubber feet that stuck down about 3 inches, no adjustment. And I removed those and put adjustment screws so you can get it leveled. And I put the a bubble marker so you can get it somewhat square and flat before you have anything else. Realistically,
Those are nice features to have.
I bought the Ponset pad for $386 plus shipping, and I know I have 438 in it now as far as what I put into it, but the extra was definitely worth it with the adjustment screws on each corner so you can get the pad level because no ground is going to be flat, perfect flat. That's about it.
Was there a focuser in there too? Electronic focuser or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether there was or not.
No, no electronic focus. I gave you back that adapter for your electronic focus. Remember? I got the knob off that and you got the gear and the bracket.
Yeah, oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
That was on the 127.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm using the ZWO version of the electronic focuser.
yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Okay.
I'm still working on that one.
Mhm.
Everything else works great. The problem here is that little thumb screw knob on the underside has to be at the proper pressure to have contact, but not too much for the electric focuser not to be able to run. And like last night, I had it where it was pointed straight up and it wanted to focus up and it wouldn't. So I just had to tweak the knob again. And with humidity and moisture, everything changes as it goes.
Yeah,
But I had a good night. Plan on having another one tonight.
excellent.
It's working great.
Then lastly, Robert had an inquiry on the website. A lady's got some gear she wants to sell, and I think, Jim, you replied back, and you'll be meeting up with her maybe?
Yes, I sent her an email, so I'll see if I get a response back from her.
All right. Anything else? So then this time of the meeting where we do our presentations. Okay. Now,
I would propose we jump over mine because I think all the club has seen mine before. And that would have been handy if we had public show up, but since we don't, can we just go into yours?
all right. So I have something that's a little bit complementary to Jeff's. Let me share my screen here. Come on. There we go. So Jeff's presentation was more about meteors, about observing them, focus on the Perseid meteor shower and some of the myth and legend behind Perseus. My presentation on comets is more on the historical, technical, and scientific side of things. So this thing working here. Come on. Yep, there we go. And you see it's more about where the meteors come from. So comets, at least as far as I teach my class, they fall into the category of solar system leftovers. And that when the solar system was forming, it formed out of trillions and trillions of bits of gas and dust, which gradually stuck together and formed gradually larger and larger objects. And eventually most of them, or at least a good chunk of them, ultimately coalesced into the 8 major planets and who knows how many dwarf planets that we have in the solar system today. These leftovers, which include asteroids and comets, are left over from that process of accretion of these smaller solar system building blocks. In other words, they weren't incorporated into the major planets. The asteroids are the leftovers that are mostly made of rock, with various amounts of ice is mixed in, but still mostly rock. Whereas the comets are mostly made of the ices with occasional bits of rock mixed in. And we typically, most of the asteroids you know about are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, but of course there are some notable exceptions. Whereas most of the comets are now found beyond the orbit of Neptune. It's all a question of where they formed in the solar system. Those in the inner parts of the forming solar system would have been too warm for the icy materials to solidify, whereas those in the outer solar system were cold enough for the ices. Overall, the icy materials far outweigh the rocky materials that are in, well, pretty much any part of the universe, really. Does the name Edmund Halley mean anything to anyone? He was a contemporary of Isaac Newton, and he was observing or studying the orbits, the apparent orbits of, well, the apparent motions of comets that had appeared in the sky in 1456, 1531, 1607, and 1682, and noted a number of similarities among the motions of them, and eventually theorized that perhaps these were the same object that was in a very large orbit around the sun. But he needed some help to finalize the mathematics that could conclusively prove that these were all the same comets. So he went to see his colleague, Isaac Newton, and told him, I'm having some trouble with the calculations for the motions of these objects. Think you can give me some help? Well, in a nutshell, Newton turned around, opened up a drawer, pulled out the notes he'd written on the theory of gravity, showed it to Halley and said, here, knock yourself out. And Halley successfully used those calculations to show that this was a comet. And he correctly predicted that this same comet would return in 1758, which it did indeed. And that's why this is now known as Halley's Comet. And yes, let's set the record straight once and for all here, at least among us. It's Halley's Comet, not Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet.
Tomato, tomato. No.
Well, let's at least not confuse him with that old rock group, Bill Haley and his comets. That's why. But it's also, we also have to thank Halley for knowing about Newton's discoveries in the first place. I mean, Isaac Newton had, there's a lot of stories behind it. An apple fell on his head. Nobody really knows if that was true. But yes, Isaac Newton solved the problem of exactly how gravity works to keep the moon in orbit around the earth, cause apples to fall out of the sky, to basically show that it is this universal force that causes every bit of matter in the universe to attract every other bit of matter in the universe. Independently, he had to invent the mathematics of calculus in order to successfully do these calculations. And so this basically was a complete and total revolution in physics and astronomy. And what did Newton himself do with this incredible discovery? He chuck it in a drawer somewhere and start working on something else. He was a brilliant man, but he didn't always appreciate the implications of his findings, or he just had too many different interests that he kept changing one from another. Actually, some modern doctors think he might have had ADHD. But yeah, Halley was the one who persuaded Newton to publish his theory of gravity, and that's how we even know about it nowadays. Now, in modern times, we know there are two main repositories of cometary bodies in our solar system. Let's see if my cursor is showing up here. So this repository here is the one just beyond Neptune's orbit. It's known as the Kuiper Belt, after astronomer Gerard Kuiper, who first theorized existence by noting that a lot of comets that venture into the inner solar system appeared to have aphelions, farthest distances from the sun, that were relatively similar to each other, which suggested that they all come from the same general region beyond Neptune's orbit. So you see, it's from just about Neptune's orbit itself to about 50 AUs from the sun, 50 astronomical units. And it surprised some astronomers that it appears to be more or less an abrupt cutoff there, which some believe means something significant about the original formation of the solar system, or where it formed. Halley's Comet is probably the most famous member from the Kuiper Belt. And the other major repository, well, it would be far beyond the edges of this diagram here. It's the Oort cloud, and is a more or less spherical distribution of cometary bodies, much, much, much further out from the Kuiper Belt. We think the Kuiper Belt originated as basically this was the outer edge of the original spiral nebula out of which our solar system formed, while the Oort cloud is populated by solar system leftovers that were all but flung out of the solar system by gravitational interactions with the giant planets. And in some cases, flung out to like 50,000 astronomical units, which is basically just shy of escaping from the sun's gravity altogether. And you say it's a more or less spherical distribution because these comets all have completely random inclinations relative to the solar system. They come from any direction you can imagine. And they typically have orbital periods of thousands, if not millions of years. I'd say the most famous recent example of a comet from the Oort cloud would be Comet Hale-Bopp. Anybody remember Comet Hale-Bopp from in 1997?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Anybody
Yep.
get to see it?
Sure, we got to see it.
Yeah, I think a few people might have even imaged it back then in the club. That's before my time, but I think I remember seeing some pics.
Cool. Yeah. So anyway, I say they're just shy of being thrown out of the sun's gravity altogether. And in fact, in recent years, a couple of objects have entered our solar system from interstellar space, which indicates that oftentimes they can be thrown completely clear of the sun's gravity. So as for actually exploring cometary bodies up close and personal, this was the first time we did so. This was, in fact, Comet Halley, imaged close up by the Giotto spacecraft, built by the European Space Agency, and visited the comet nucleus at the time of its last close approach to the inner solar system. Which is a good point to bring up a little bit of anatomy of comets. So the actual fragment here, the actual leftover here, is the nucleus of the comet. And then the familiar tail and the coma we see are the result of vaporized ices that happen when the comet gets close enough to the sun for it to warm up and vaporize them. So, and most of these fragments here are no more than like a few tens of miles wide. I think Halley is even smaller than that. So yeah, only if you manage to get a spacecraft up that close could you see the actual nucleus. And you can imagine trying to do this during its passage through the inner solar system when the tail was at its brightest is tricky and hazardous because of all the flying gases and the little dust fragments coming off it. Let's see. Okay, yeah, here's another image from the anatomy here. So in this image here, of course, the nucleus is all pretty much buried inside the head of the comet, head or coma. Astronomers use both terms the same way. And then sometimes you're able to see two tails come from the comet. The dust tail is made up of little fragments of rocky material that are often mixed in with the ices of the comet. And as ices vaporize, they free these little rocky fragments and they get blown away, more or less left behind in the trail of the comet's orbit. Although solar radiation can also push the dust tail somewhat away from the comet's orbital path and almost directly away from the sun. And while the ion tail is made of gases, gassy materials, and vaporized ices that are literally blown away from the comet, directly away from the sun by solar radiation. So that's why the two tails are pointing in different directions like this. And yeah, this is Comet Hale-Bopp itself, imaged by someone at the Kepler Observatory. Now, those little bits of rock that come loose and vaporize in comets, when they're just spreading out around along the comet's orbit or flying away at random through the solar system for whatever reason, they're known as meteoroids. And now most of them will stay with the orbit of the comet. And if Earth happens to pass through the orbit of that comet, it will encounter the stream of these little fragments that are following the comet's orbit. And a lot of these will get swept up by Earth's gravity, fall through the atmosphere, burn up in the atmosphere. And only while that little fragment is burning up in Earth's atmosphere do we call it a meteor. And if you get a whole bunch of them burning up because we're passing through that comet's orbit, we get a meteor shower. Occasionally, one of them might be large enough that at least part of it survives going through Earth's atmosphere and hits the ground. At that point, we call it a meteorite. And if you're lucky enough to stumble across a meteorite, you can maybe collect it or sell it to a collector, or if it's big enough, sell it to a museum. And let's see. I think I missed something here. Okay. So the one that's coming up, the Perseid meteor shower, is the result of a comet officially known as 109P/Swift-Tuttle, which was independently discovered by Lewis Swift and Horace Tuttle in July 1862. I don't know exactly when the connection between it and the Perseid meteor shower was confirmed, but one thing we do know is that this comet is a Kuiper Belt comet, just like Halley's is. And it's a little bit larger orbit, whereas Halley's comet has an orbital period of 75 or 76 years. Swift-Tuttle's orbit is 133 years long. So it takes a little bit farther out in the belt. I think it might take it almost out to the outer edge of the Kuiper Belt, in fact. But it has visited the inner solar system last time in 1992, and is expected to return in 2126. Since we're just Club Him members here, not the general public, I guess it's okay to tell you that for a while there in 1992, some astronomers suspected there was a chance that the Swift-Tuttle comet could collide with Earth in 2126. But they did some more careful measurements of its orbital characteristics during the 1992 passage, and they've since refined its orbit, and now they are absolutely confident that there's no chance of any collision happening for at least the next few thousand years. So no need to lose any sleep tonight. Now, there are a number of websites which do focus on meteor showers, largely for observational purposes. And from one of them, I got this list of the major meteor showers that occur during the course of the year. So the Perseids is one of the most prolific of them, with a maximum hourly rate of up to 100 meteors per hour, when the moon is new, of course. And this chart also lists the origin of each of the shower, except in the case of the quadrantids in January. It is one of the most prolific that we have, but we haven't precisely pinned down exactly what comet spawns this meteor shower. On the other hand, Halley's comet is responsible for two of the major showers, the Eta Aquariids, which peak on May 5th, and the Orionids, which peak in October. And the Geminids, that's an interesting one. This doesn't originate from a comet, it originates from an asteroid. But on the other hand, we have noted that some asteroids do appear to be burnt out comets. They made one too many passages into the inner solar system and basically lost all of their ice. So this origin here, you're never going to see a tail from it, but it's still trailing enough debris that we get a pretty good sized meteor shower out of it in December. And I got to say, I don't know why the Ursins were listed in this with only 10 meters maximum per hour, but there you are. The same website, this had other listings on it of minor meteor showers and really minor ones, which are of course going to be a lot longer than this one. But yeah, that's the website down there. So Google American Meteor Society, and you'll find a whole slew of information on meteor showers and when they peak, where they come from, and so on. Okay. Now here's another one we were able to visit up close. The European Space Agency visited this one, this time with two craft. The Rosetta spacecraft orbited this cometary fragment for several months and dropped a lander onto its surface called Philae. And this is, we call it Comet 67P here. Its full name, its full name, actually here, let me, no, that's not, okay, yes. This is its full name right here. And if you'll indulge me a bit here, where is that? Here we go. Anybody know how to pronounce this? Anybody know how to pronounce this comet's name? Well, apparently this person here does.
I think you have to select that share with audio because we didn't hear that.
Oh, let me see.
I think it's at the bottom of the share screen.
I'll have to stop sharing here. How do you do that?
I recall seeing at the very bottom two little radio buttons or boxes.
Share computer sound.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that now. All right, see if this works.
Kiryumov Gerasimenko.
That worked, but who knows what it was.
Churyumov Gerasimenko, I think. Well,
We trust you.
okay. Well, anyway, that's the comet. And it was the first time we ever landed a probe on the surface of a cometary nucleus. And unfortunately, it didn't go quite as well as hoped. Apparently, the probe ended up in a deep crevice in the shadow of a cliff, which is why the probe's solar panels weren't able to give it enough power to last for very long. This is one of the few pictures that it was able to send back. You can see part of the probe in the lower left here, and yeah, basically kind of wedged up against this rock face here, or ice face, or whatever the face is made of. But Rosetta, on the other hand, it stayed in orbit around the comet for pretty much the whole of its perihelion passage around the sun, and was able to give us a lot of great views of jets of gas exploding off the surface in random directions. And so basically was able to give us a very good view of a comet going from dormant to active and back to dormant again, before the Rosetta craft was then deliberately crashed into the comet to, well, basically reach the end of its life, and they didn't want to risk it flying off who knows where. Speaking of crashing, who remembers Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9?
Who doesn't?
Indeed. Caught in Jupiter's gravity, torn up into several fragments by Jupiter's gravity, and then it's a shame that the fragments impacted on Jupiter just barely on the side facing away from Earth. But we at least got to view the immediate aftermath of each collision in the form of these giant debris clouds, each of which is close to the size of the Earth. And actually, Galileo, which was on its way to Jupiter, was in a position to at least aim its infrared cameras at Jupiter and see the impacts. And so there you can see those. Well, it's the same one repeated over and over, but yeah, that's what it's able to observe. And then most recent news in the field of comets. This is comet C/2014 UN 271 Bernardinelli-Bernstein, first detected just beyond Neptune's orbit. And based on the amount of light we're seeing from it, we estimate that this is the largest cometary nucleus for which we have any idea of what its size is, somewhere between 60 and 120 miles wide. For comparison, Hale-Bopp's comet nucleus is estimated to be only 40 miles wide. Swift-Tuttle, our friend with the Perseid meteor shower, is just 16 miles wide. And our famous Halley's Comet, based on Giotto's measurements, only 9 by 5 miles in size. So yes, Comet Bernardinelli-Bernstein here could very well be more than 10 times as wide as Halley. And it is expected to reach its perihelion in January of 2031, so it's still coming in, but just beyond Saturn's orbit is as close as it's ever going to get to the sun. On the other hand, it is very clear that this is an Oort cloud comet. Its aphelion is estimated to be almost at the outer edge of the Oort cloud itself, with an estimated orbital period of 3 million years. So if you ever want to try to get a look at this cometary object, you better do it during this passage. Oh. Any questions?
So these meteoroids, those are really what makes the meteor shower from the comet, because we pass through that orbit every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the more longer it spews out the debris, it stays in that orbit, but it can be a strong meteor shower or a weak one, just depending on how much debris is spread at that particular time we go through the orbit.
They do spread out gradually over time, yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes gravitational interactions with the giant planets in our solar system can slightly shift the orbit of the comet itself, and then that in turn will slightly shift the orbit of the meteoroids that spread out along, and that can also contribute to spreading out the meteoroid swarm.
Yep. That Ike-Siki, I wonder how, I seen that, and that had to be about 1965, mid-60s. I wonder how big that nucleus was.
That's a good question, yes. Yeah, I do need to point out that this one here is the largest one for which we even have an idea of the size. So there could very well have been much larger ones back in history.
Yeah, that Ike-Siki, I remember seeing that every night, and I mean, it stretched clear across the southern horizon for many nights. It's the most impressive comet I've ever seen.
Mm.
Fortunately, I was 15 years old to be able to witness it at the time. That was about the mid 60s. I had a little 6-inch reflector in an observatory way in my backyard off Brady Street, North Brady Street.
I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah.
must have been quite a sight.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was spectacular. You didn't have to squint or anything. I mean, that thing, it just took and streaked clear across a good area of the southern sky for many nights.
Yeah, some astronomers, they say the odds are telling us we're overdue for the next really spectacular comet of that magnitude.
Yeah, like I said, it was the best one that I've ever seen in my lifetime. The last one we had, what, a year, was it about a year ago?
There was one last year. I was able to see it in binoculars, yes.
Yeah, and I could see it with the naked eye, kind of too. You had to stretch, but Ike Siki, you didn't need any optical aids to see it. I mean, it was so apparent.
No comparison, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it streaked good, probably 50 degrees across the sky, and you could see the nucleus and the debris field coming off. I don't know about the ion, the gases, but I mean, it was very, very brilliant.
Sounds like the dust tail might have drowned out the ion tail.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I've seen photographs. I've seen like black and white photographs of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a spectacular comet. I'll never forget it.
That's the thing about comets, except for the periodic ones we know about, there's no telling when the next big one is going to come.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I don't know when Ikisiki comes back. It's got to be a long time, probably.
Yeah, I think it's one of those long period comets, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wish you guys could have all seen it. I mean, it almost didn't look real.
It's kind of thing back in medieval times, they'd immediately think, oh God, the world's going to end.
Yeah, right. Just like back in what, the 1800s when one of those meteor showers, but the skies were a lot darker then too. They didn't have any light pollution.
Yes.
Yeah, and it just looked like it was a rainstorm of meteors coming down from the meteor shower.
So Mike, if that comet was when you were about 15 years old, then another comet in our lifetime was the year before Hale-Bopp was the
Hyakutake.
Hyakutake. Now, did you see that one, Mike? How does that compare to this other one you're discussing?
No, I couldn't compare that one to. I could compare it to the one that was here a year ago in July, I think it was, this month. In fact, it came up on my calendar, when I went out to Lost Grove Lake to see it in North Davenport, a ways out. And you could kind of see it with the naked eye, but Ikisiki. But then again, well, we still had light pollution out on Brady Street because, well, North Park Mall wasn't there yet until '74. But like I said, that comet, it was just spectacular. I mean, I'm not sugarcoating it either. It was the most brilliant comet I've ever seen.
And you were viewing it from the city?
Yeah, out there on North Brady Street. But Brady Street, there was no North Park. There was no Hardee's. You know, it was a 2-lane highway, Highway 61 going north. And, you know, so it was a little darker sky, but you were still looking south. It was on the southern horizon, so you would have been looking over the city. But believe me, you didn't need any optical aids to help view it or see it or anything. It was just one spectacular long comet.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing. I must have just been out of looking at things then. But Hyakutake was pretty good too because it extended a long ways. Much of the sky. Must have been at least 120 degrees or something. It was visible. But then using binoculars or something.
Yeah, I'm surprised I wouldn't have picked up on that. But like I said, I had my little 6-inch telescope in a observatory, and the roof was like a gable, but the big flat sides folded over on hinges onto a couple posts with a 2x6 on it. And then the end, the triangle ends just flipped out. I might even have a picture of it somewhere. And I got a little 6-inch Edmund Scientific telescope. And Dr. Nicewander, who I think donated the 12-inch to Ambrose, that's the one that was eventually in the observatory on the grounds of St. Ambrose. And Monsignor Minky took me out there and gave me a key to the observatory and gave me a complete tour and said, help yourself. And I thought I was on cloud 10, and I brought friends over and everything else and showed them things. But now it's all out at the Wapsie Educational Center.
Yep.
So.
You're making us all jealous, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes to show you that my age is definitely being extended farther out at 70 years old. Hard to believe I'm 70. Yeah, I would have been about 15 years old about then. So.
Well, okay. Any other questions or comments?
Very nice presentation, though. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, so we'd have the treasurer's report now. Sam isn't here.
So I just sent Sam a text to see if he had anything you wanted to send us. So if we can kind of pass on that and keep going, maybe he'll send me something.
All right, well, so we'll table that for now. Any updates on observatory relocation since the last meeting?
Well, this is Jim. I think at the last meeting, we probably had the 20-inch up and running, maybe just barely. So that continues to run, like was said earlier in the meeting. The other thing is we're anxious to make progress, although Mike and I, with the help of others, have been working quite a bit, have been frustrated with the design consideration of, do we need to put in frost footings for the building itself? That'll be quite a bit more expensive. So I just sent out a note to the board members, and we did just get a correspondence from Scott Horstman with Backyard Observatories. And his comment was, of the experience that he has, some of his observatories, he's built 300 observatories. Some of them he puts on a wooden base that raised off the floor, similar to what we have at Sherman Park. It was our desire for this new one that we put it on a concrete slab, similar to what Dinky has. And we were hoping that we could do that without total frost footings. And Scott's comment back was, that's what most people find that they can do. But then he also said, you should also ask your local concrete contractor, who is the person that brought up the question with us, whether we needed some kind of footing. So we're still struggling with that design, what we're going to do there. And so the board will talk about it some more.
Okay.
It's been out. I think that we want to move forward with getting the dome building over there. So, originally we said, let's put concrete in for both of the buildings. So work economies of scale, but maybe that we just have to move forward with a smaller part of the concrete installation to get the dome building over there, and then make progress as we can with the building. So Mike, if you want to add anything, or anybody else wants to chime in, please do so.
You must have just recently heard from Scott, finally.
Yeah, it was just today. I tried to forward to you his email. So if you didn't get it, I did it off my cell phone. Yeah, it was just today. We heard from him and had a brief feedback, and he apologized for being very busy and shorthanded with his crew. And
Wow, that's amazing. I'm shocked. After trying for the last 4 or 6 weeks to make contact, he
Yep.
finally came through. And and so he probably responded, but he didn't show any interest as far as what his schedule was, or he could come in and build it if we got the concrete poured or whatever. There was no rebuttal about that.
no, at this point, he just responded to my questions where I was pleading with him that if he could at least give us some feedback that would help us forward with our design for the concrete. So that's the part that he answered. He didn't say anything about when he might be available to do any work.
Yeah.
And can we ask him if we can pay him for the plans and specifications and have that money go toward building it if we hire him to do the job? So at least that way we're not just throwing money out, you know.
On his website, what he says is if you buy one of my standard plans and you then have me do the work, I'll credit that money. I don't know if he has to, I mean, we can ask him, now how soon we might get a response, I don't know. But we can ask him that question, but if he has to custom make a design, I would think that it could work into if we have him do the building, and I'd like to have him do the work if we could count on him being reliable enough to be available.
I'm thinking if we keep on him now, maybe we've got his ear a little bit. And if we start throwing money at him saying, we'd like to buy plans and specs from you, if that money would go toward if we hired you. And how soon can you have that ready where we've got the funds to purchase that?
And how far are you backlogged? Are we talking next spring, or could it be done in 2 months from now? If you keep the line of communication open with him so we can get some positive response and not have to wait another month for a reply, that would be great, because we want to move on it. We need somebody that can, communicate with us, and, we're more serious than we ever were. So we weren't when we didn't have the money, but now we are close, and we need to let him know that we're serious about this.
Yep, I will respond to it, or the board can talk about exactly what we want to say in the email.
Well, regardless of who we get, we need plans and specs. And rather than just go to an architect if he can do it, at least that money could be then saved rather than just gone out to somebody that, isn't going to do the work anyway.
Well, I agree. I agree. We've talked to a couple different engineering firms, and neither one of them had any time to be able to devote to this in the future. So if we could get Scott to do it, that's a plus. I guess the one question we'll have to ask is, are we confident in the design that he gives us? So if he gives us a design that doesn't include frost footings, are we willing to go with that?
Yeah.
And he isn't recommending what to do for foundation work, or?
His email was pretty brief. Read a couple emails from me that I attempted to answer that question and see how you interpret what he had to say.
Yeah.
When I posted the question on the observatory Facebook page for do-it-yourself observatories, the main thing I got was go and find out what the building code is, even if there isn't one in the county. Find out what the city code is, and that's what you want to do.
Okay, that's going to be different than Scott told us.
Yeah.
So do you want to pay Scott to give you a design that will go counter to what you just said?
I don't,
Don't answer that question right now, but that's what we need to talk about.
yes, you're right.
At the very least, we need to talk about this in the next board meeting, if not sooner.
And some of the plan, maybe it's worthwhile getting both if we can't get an answer that we want. Maybe since he'll have a CAD program open, maybe there's enough similarity between the two where it can say, this is what you need. Here's the plans and specs for a building on a slab with footings. Here's one for a pole building style. But you're right, Jim, we can talk at the other meeting.
If we can just get that frost footing that we need and the support posts for the roof that it rolls off onto, which will probably take about 4 on each side, I figure. Just so that everything stays stable, so that where the roof comes off and it's fully off, those 2 lineal tracks stay level and don't shift. That's the key that we need to know.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I think we'll do that. And like I said, we can talk about this at a different meeting, but we can build a pole building out there on the supporting the posts only on frost footing, and that would stay. And we can pour it on a slab with frost footings, and that will stay. It's just the overall structure. What do we want it to be?
Yeah.
So both will
all
work.
All the posts were, 48 inches deep, probably minimum. And the poles are all set where the structure, the walls are all attached to the poles, and the support poles, I don't think anything would move then, because everything's relative to 48 inches in the ground or 54, whatever you want to. But if it varies from that, then I just would be concerned that, like I said, that the 2 lineal tracks stay level.
And my main concern would be, is the floor going to move out from underneath the pole building? The roof will stay level and everything, but will the floor gradually move someplace? And I don't know those things. I'm the devil's advocate kind of guy, but
I just
like
wish we
Jim-
had some experts that really knew their stuff that could advise us, because this is the biggest holdup, is this whole footing thing and slab thing and the whole bit. Everybody has different ideas. I've even heard other things, and it's frustrating because we're ready to go, but we don't have somebody that has the experience to say, okay, this is what you guys need to do.
Well, and I guess what I would say, Scott Horstman says he's built 300 of these roll-off roofs.
Yeah.
Now, variety of sizes and at least 2 different types of. But if he says it'll work, that's a pretty good testimony. And the other guy near the Champaign area, it'll be interesting to see if he has the same input that Backyard Observatories has.
Yeah, that would be good, because they've got what we talked about yesterday, 3 or 5 different buildings.
Yeah, they have five buildings, with the largest telescope they have is a 50-inch Newtonian.
Yeah, that's down in Champaign-Urbana area.
Yeah, just a little south of there.
what kind of structure did they have that on?
The mount for the telescope,
Well, is it a pole building or is it a frost footing building?
that I do not know. I'm trying to make contact with the individual to find out a little more.
That's not the Naperville guys, is it?
Now,
Okay.
This is Astronomical Research. Whatever. You may have heard of them, Jeff.
Yeah. But it's not the Naperville guys. Because if it was Naperville, I'd get a hold of Eric Clace and say, hey, Eric, we need your help now.
No. His name is Bob Holmes.
Yeah.
So there's plans of action here.
I've sent an email to all the board members. Mike and I sent an email asking, laying out what information we currently have, what we see as the possibilities, and asking for the board's input. And so whether you want to give it individually with emails and copy each other, or whether we want to have a separate meeting, either way, probably. I guess I would say send us back your thoughts, and then we'll decide if we want to have a net meeting and talk about it.
I would say so we can do it by email first and go from there.
Has anybody other than me replied to you, Jim?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, like I said, Jim, maybe this guy from Champaign area, he'll get in touch with us too, and we'll see what their claim to fame is on their building support system, and that could all be coming forth this week. So let's hope for the best there too.
Yeah.
Did Cedar Amateur Astronomers tell you what they did?
Yeah, they build it on a footing because that's what their county required, but their county paid to put it in.
Yeah. If we were so lucky.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we can do by email first, and then if we need to do a separate meeting, then we'll schedule it. All right, anything else about this?
Now, I guess the one thing to think about is, does it make sense to move forward with putting in the concrete zone, because that's pretty comfortable that we can go with a floating slab. That's what we did at Sherman Park. It stood up and much more, straightforward to do that. So let's get that installed so we can get the dome moved. I think that's a reasonable project for club members to bite off to, once we get, having a contractor put the concrete in, and then club members move the dome and building over.
We had a price on that slab too, didn't we?
Yeah,
Dan
and I put that in the email.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I still need to go over the emails in detail, but so
Yeah,
if I can come up with any
catching
input, I'll
up to
provide it.
do.
All right.
The only side note I have there that I can report on, the Wilton Observatory, when I get that project done, they said they'll donate $1,000. I'm going over there tomorrow afternoon. They finally got the computer there. So tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go over there and install software and do some minor stuff. And then Wednesday afternoon, I go back out there and I'll meet the IT guy and see if there's any other requirements or needs I have with access to the internet and the intranet. So I'll be over there the next 2 afternoons. So we're actually starting work out there. So
Very good. Okay. All right then. We got about just under 10 minutes left. So last few items here. Old business. We noticed that there still seems to be some lingering questions about whether the QC Astro mailing list actually works.
So to that point, during this meeting, I sent an email about these scopes to the membership. And I don't know whether you guys can check your email now and to see if you got it. Because I sent it to the website members email address. And I did get my copy of it this time.
I did not.
I haven't got one.
I called it Club Scope offering in the subject line, and I sent it at 20 minutes after 8. And I did get a response back from the website saying that it was successful.
Let me see. Oh, it went into my spam.
So there's a way you can go into your spam and mark it as not spam. So maybe you guys can check your spam folder or your trash to see if it went there instead.
Okay.
Yeah, mine went into the spam too.
Okay. Yeah, I think that like if you right click on it or something, it'll say not spam or something like that maybe. Craig, did you get it?
I don't see it.
Yeah, check in your spam folder and Cecil and Mike. Mike,
What
I
did
don't know
you-
whether you're on that list or not, to be perfectly honest with you.
You say today?
Yeah, 8:20 p.m. tonight, I sent it. And I
Okay.
think it said, let me get what I said again in the subject line. It says Club Scope offering is the subject.
Okay.
I don't
It's
see
not,
it.
yeah. It's not in the spam.
Yeah, this is Jim. I did not get it in my normal email and I don't see it in spam either.
I don't see it either.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I don't see it in mine either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get it.
Oh, well.
So I got it, Robert got it, Rusty got it,
Yeah, I got it.
but Cecil didn't get it,
Not
Rolando
spam,
didn't
so-
get it, Craig didn't get it, Jim didn't get it. And Mike,
I didn't get it.
And Paul, you didn't get it?
No, not in my regular email. No.
How about in spam? Did you see it there?
Well, I can't really see spam from my phone. And
Okay.
sometimes when I've tried to tell these messages not to be spam, but they still end up there anyhow.
I've had that trouble myself. Let's see.
Yeah, my phone shows the spam if I go all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, I can't see it. But anyway, I don't, well, sorry.
No, that's okay. And the other thing that I learned from Jason, and this it dismays me. So I send an email to the members list. If you reply to all, it doesn't go to the members list anymore. It just goes to the sender, me, which I don't like. But supposedly that's some kind of a safety thing for other companies sending spam to us. So I don't like that. So doing a reply all does not go to all members. It only goes to the sender. And I think Jason can remove that if the club wants it, but I don't see that as a safety device because every other distribution list I have has got a reply to all. So like if I send an email out to all members saying, hey, I'm going out to Mickey tonight, who wants to go? If they do a reply to all, I'm the only one that sees that. It's not like all the members know who's going out there.
Well, that's not,
Yeah, it's not really great, but we can talk about that later. But I think the biggest thing right now is why everybody doesn't get the email. And it's been, 35 minutes now. So it should be to everybody's folders.
Yeah. And those who did get in their spam folder, we need to figure out how to let our how to program our email servers to not treat QCAster.org as spam.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Mitchell, what do you use? Because I always see your emails.
Google Mail. Our St. Ambrose, they have a Google Mail account for every faculty and
Okay.
staff and student member.
But do you send it to members or do you send it to a different distribution list?
I made my own distribution list. I don't
So
trust that anymore.
Yeah, so he's not using the website email address like I just
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to work on that. Then the treasurer's report, Sam is at a campsite and doesn't have access to his email, or his computer, so he can't give us a report tonight.
We'll table it then.
Yeah.
Table it until next time. And so the last bit of business was, I don't know if everybody's aware of St. Ambrose University's current COVID policy regarding visitors. I'm sure I've mentioned at least one previous meeting, but for those who didn't get it, so all visitors need to check in at one of 6 check-in locations on campus, where they either let the person know that they're fully vaccinated, or if they tell the check-in location that they're not vaccinated, they have to undergo a health screen, which basically just asks them about if they're feeling any symptoms, and they may take your temperature remotely. But the 6 check-in locations do not include the McCarthy building, where we always used to meet before COVID started. The closest location is the Galvin Fine Arts Center. And there's been some discussion at our meetings about whether or not this might impact future attendance of in-person meetings. So I still need to contact Jim Kiss on campus, see if there is any room on campus that could be made available to us beginning this fall to go back to at least partly in-person meetings. So as soon as I do that, as soon as I get a reply, I can pass that around to the club and see where we can go from there.
With this virus coming back and as handy as this is, I didn't know if I like the Zoom thing so much myself, but it is kind of nice, unless you want to go for pie night, Jeff. But this system seems to be working pretty darn good. I mean, I like face-to-face contact with people, the socializing, but I hate to say it, I'm kind of getting used to this new, younger techie way.
And we agree that even going back to in-person meetings, we'd still maintain a Zoom presence.
Right, like PAC does.
Hybrid meetings like PAC is doing nowadays.
Right. Yeah. For people that, maybe they're feeling a little under the weather, or they just don't want to drive over there,
Exactly.
Zoom does work pretty darn good. Good, but I still like the social part of, person.
On a bad weather thing too. I mean, if you have a blizzard out, we can still do this via Zoom. So.
Right, exactly. You don't have to worry about canceling it. And they said for the school system now that they're going to start eliminating snow days, and they'll have Zoom days, even if the virus does go away, because then these teachers don't have to stay another 2 or 3 weeks after the normal school year.
And
so we're not going to rush back into in-person meetings.
Yeah.
So there's no.
This works good, If you want to meet for pie some night, let me know, Jeff, and I'll come over and meet with you.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll start blasting out the emails, because Jim and Craig, and was that Rolando? And I did meet for lunch at Village Inn one day.
Yeah, late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
4 of us or so.
Yeah.
Craig and you and myself and Jim and yeah.
Yeah, Craig was in town, so we made it a point to have a family reunion.
Right.
I enjoyed it all the time. That was a very good visit.
So we can do that. And also, with the way restaurants have been populated, it's highly possible that they would consider blocking off a back room for us if we wanted to have a club meeting there with, the dozen that would show up if we took up the whole end room or something.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, we just have to kind of make sure we're safe and follow the rules. And
See what this pandemic does right now anyway, because it's getting shaky anyway. It really affected the stock market today.
yeah,
Look what it's doing to the Olympics.
Yeah, that's really being a big concern too. There's a couple athletes that have had to pull out because they've tested for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this Delta strain isn't doing the whole thing any much good.
I know the United flight that I booked middle of August, I'm required to wear a mask for the full flight, except for when I'm eating in between bites and drinks. So,
From what I'm hearing, you might want to wear body armor too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else that we need to talk about tonight?
I just want to make a comment.
Hmm?
And I have to apologize for all the bad weather I caused it.
Oh,
What'd you get?
I bought a Skywatcher Solar Quest, which is a mount for solar observing only. You put a telescope on the mount and you press a button. GPS locates your position and time, and then slews the telescope to the sun. And then it will hold the image of the sun as long as the batteries are running. I've only gotten to use it twice. Once was a couple of weeks ago where I had a short period of blue sky with a white filter, 90 millimeter scope, and that 26 lead Plössl. And you press the button, and it didn't put it right in the center because I think I might have been a little out of balance. But press a couple of buttons and it puts it right in the middle of the viewfinder, and it does stay there. I used it again today with the 90 millimeter, and I was using the Daystar HA chromosphere filter and that same 26 millimeter eyepiece. And the best part of this is it found the sun and it sat there. It does include that solar HA filter, unfortunately, has a 4X Barlow built in. And using that 26 millimeter eyepiece with that 90 millimeter lens, I can't say I ever got the sun in focus because the image is kind of dim. And that eyepiece is so dirty that no matter how I focused it, it looked like the entire sun was full of sunspots.
Cool. That
So,
keeps you from looking at a light bulb all day long.
oh yeah. So I think what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to buy a 40 millimeter lens to focus first, and then maybe get a zoom lens for different magnifications. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because that Solar Quest, it works.
Cool.
Yeah, it really works. It finds the sun and then just keeps right where you put it.
Very good.
And Rusty, didn't you get a solar scope?
Well, yes, I did. I've got a 35 millimeter lunt.
In mint shape, I might add.
Yes, it is. With a nice case, yes. And I totally forgot that I have one of those Ioptron cubes.
Oh, perfect for that.
It's new solar. So I've got it set up. I know it powers up. It's been sitting around for like 2, 3 years now. But I'm gonna, later on in the week, I'm gonna try it and see how well it works. So,
Yeah, I use my cube on my 60 millimeter and it works great. It's a little bit wobbly, but lightweight and portable and easy to use.
yeah. I lost these leg spreader for it. So my son-in-law and I made a wooden one yesterday.
Talk to Dana. He likes the 3D print stuff, and I've got one he can copy because I think we've got the same spreader.
All right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
That's my line. Motion to adjourn.
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Any second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Have a good night then.
Thanks,
Good night,
everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night.
Night. Night. Night. Night. Night.
Good night, John boy.
Good job, Robert. Your presentation was great. If I am so inclined to get out and get the screen from Mankey for the meteor shower party, I'd like to get yours and we can put them together with mine back to back and let them just run.
Sure.
And we don't have to talk about it or anything. We'll just let it cycle through. I'll make each slide like 10 seconds long and just run them back to back and let it go. I have to get enough ambition to get out to Mankey to get the screen. And then I still have to put together the sound system anyway. So play it by ear a little bit.
Sure.
Do you feel like sending something to like Channel 6 or about the meteor shower party to see if they want to promote it for us?
Channel. Who would I email? Who would
I don't
contact?
know. To be honest with you, I don't know. And I tried looking for who did that for us, but I couldn't find anything on it. But I know that's why we ended up with so many people, is because they had, they didn't like spend any time talking about it. They said, oh, by the way, Quad City Astronomical Society is having blah, blah. And they had the little date and time at the bottom of the screen. And they did that on each news broadcast or something, just gave like a 2-sentence blurb, on it. So, especially if we want to raffle off the scope, it'd be nice if we, again, had a few hundred people.
Okay. I think I can find the specs on the scope. Yeah. So if I do that, then what time do we say the party is starting?
I said that that the public can arrive around sunset.
If they want a specific time, then I can always look up when sunset is.
Yeah, and they won't. They trust us to know what we want, and when we say around sunset, that gives a little bit of leeway so that it's not like everybody shows up at 8:30. That gives, well, what is sunset? Right when the sun's there, right when it's down. So it gives an hour window for people to show up. So it's not like a big
Sudden
gush of people.
crowds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I think you already sent to Dave Mercia our schedule with EISP. Do you think we have to tell them again?
No, wouldn't hurt just to make sure.
Because, I think it's sad that we have to bend over backwards, but I can see on Eastern Iowa Star Party how maybe since it's a once a year thing, that maybe it's a little bit more confusing to them, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
So let me know what you want me to do or how I can help or something. So
I'll see what I can get done. Yeah.
but yeah, in the meantime, like I said, I got to get the projector going. I got to get the PA system going, and
Right.
then it would be a great help to get people to take tickets. And yeah, if you wanted to take some tickets, and you could even do a little bit of talking. if you want to, talk about what the Perseid is again, just, a sentence here and there. I don't know if you remember the first one we did over at Pleasant Valley High School, but Mike Dannenfeld, I mean, we'd point it in a object and we'd say, oh, if you look over here, that's Polaris, and this is about Polaris for, 3 or 4 sentences. And then the International Space Station went by. So we pointed that out and he just said, oh, here, so there's some goofy stuff we can do like that just to break up some silence. So,
All right. Yep.
and we don't have to either. So the main thing would be is the public, bring your lawn chair, sit out under the stars and watch for meteors and, enjoy the evening. So it'd be just, kind of like an evening, I didn't say anything about bringing food. I think I did say non-alcoholic beverages. Bring your non-alcoholic beverages of your choice and your family, sit back in your lawn chair, enjoy the sky, just not a big major, that we're going to teach you stuff and you're going to listen to presentations and you're going to be, it'll be more of a family oriented outing. So.
Well, we can talk more details about it at a board meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, nice meeting tonight, and I guess I'll talk to you a little later.
Okay. Yeah. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
good night.